Did you want a much more choices matter Skyrim with modern graphics? Were you eager for a new fantasy action RPG? Does Avowed have what it takes? Watch on and find out. My name is Thoraxe, and this is Strategy for Busy People. If you've got a few minutes, I'll tell you what to play. Avowed by Obsidian Entertainment was pretty hyped up when it came out. I put about 10 hours into exploring what it had to offer. You might recall that I said in the past that I have a ton of hours in Skyrim. Well, a ton for me. Certainly not a ton compared to some of my friends who have hundreds if not thousands of hours. When I saw that Avowed had a lot of Skyrim-like qualities, I figured it was worth giving it a try. Now, one of the reasons that I spent so many hours in Skyrim was playing the mod game. You know the mod game, right? Where you install a mod that changes the way an apple or a goblet looks, and then you go jump to a bunch of different places in the game looking at apples, and that kills 16 hours. Yeah, well, Avowed doesn't really have many or any mods yet, so I actually had to play the game for the game. Avowed has a solid enough premise. You have some literal godlike abilities because you've literally been touched by a god, but you also happen to be the envoy of an emperor who is the leader of an empire that is, frankly, pooping all over the locals in the place you were sent. There's some kind of weird mushroom plague infecting people, so this is kind of like fantasy The Last of Us or something. Anyway, like most action RPGs in the fantasy realm, you have a bunch of different races. Like many action RPGs, you also can have companions that accompany you along and support you. And like a few RPGs, you can have deep relationships with these companions that go all kinds of different ways. And that's one of the real key selling points of Avowed. The choices are supposed to really matter. As an example, I decided that I would frequently try to resolve conflicts without resorting to violence, and there was apparently an achievement for doing that at least 5 times, which was pretty cool. Depending on your character's skills or historical background, sometimes you get unique dialogue options that open to you. In this playthrough, I swore to myself that I was going to go hardcore melee instead of the ranged physical or magical builds that I usually end up doing, mostly because I had such an awful and boring experience with a ranged magic build in Diablo 4. But that game sucks, so there's that. Watch my review for more. Anyway, the character background I chose gave me a war hero perk that opened up quite a few unique dialogue options that sometimes were helpful and, well, sometimes weren't. But that's kind of the point here. The R in RPG really stands for role-playing, and picking a particular role to play in all of your encounters will lead you through particular paths. Whether that meaningfully impacts the end game, I can't say, but it definitely seemed to influence certain things that happened. Spoiler alert. As an example, I let someone go who had done something very bad, and then people in the town were talking about how these bad people have been allowed to go free. So clearly, my choices mattered. The combat in this game was actually quite entertaining. Blocking or parrying was a super important mechanic, and you couldn't just mindlessly swing your weapon and hope to kill everything in sight. Strategic timing on your block or parry could result in stunning an opponent, which might open them up to either a super combo or give you enough time to dispense a power move. And, as expected in this type of game, you have a number of special abilities that you can employ. In the case of my fighter build, I was able to do a shield bash and a shout that would cause lots of temporary stun damage, and so on and so forth. Instead of mana, you have essence, but whatever. It's a special meter for your special abilities, and you better try to keep it full if you want to use them. Filling your health and essence meters involves, as you might expect, potions to drink. You can drink these during combat, and they take effect nearly immediately. If you're unfortunate to lose all your health during combat, you do get a second wind and don't die immediately, but losing your health again during combat while under the second wind timer will actually result in real death, but not permadeath, because this isn't that kind of game. If your companions fall in battle, you can revive them a seemingly endless number of times, and your companions have their own special abilities that can level up. And further, if you are a micromanager kind of player, you can choose to not allow your companions to do much on their own and manage all of their abilities using your command wheel. Speaking of that command wheel, it is also a way to access your non-potion equipment, like food. And this game suffers from the same stupid trope that all these types of games suffer from, which I am naming the apple glutton trope. And I don't care if it already has some kind of cool name. This is where you can be down to 1 health point and then eat 100 apples to regain 300 health points. Firstly, where the hell did you keep all of those apples? And secondly, really? I can just infinitely eat apples? Sheesh. Anyway, you and your party can stop at various camps, and this is also where you can get to know your companions better and explore some of the special dialogue scenarios that happen from them observing the things that you do out in the real world. You have a camp stash where you can store stuff, and you can also upgrade your equipment with either generic type upgrades or magical upgrades. There's also a whole system of totems that I never got to, and I don't even really recall what it was for. Before I give my final verdict, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Agree with me, disagree with me, or want to see other content? Let me know in the comments below. Want to try this game yourself? Check out my humble affiliate link below. And if you want to support me in making more of these videos, become a patron on Patreon. Your support really makes a difference. The final verdict. Look, this is a quote-unquote AAA action RPG. It has a ton of story, a ton of lore, a ton of side quests, and it's really well put together. If you like these kinds of games, you're probably going to like Avowed. But I have a problem with these types of games because I play infrequently, don't want to read a whole lot, and often lose track of the main storyline in all of the quests. At least Avowed does a really good job of telling you if you're going to get your ass handed to you on the quest screen. You've got plenty of fast travel options, all of your dialogue options even include the option to view the lore encyclopedia so you can refresh your memory on whatever the heck it is the person is talking about. On my trademark 3-point score scale of avoid, meh, and I forgot to eat, I ate way too many apples and stews trying not to die, and it made my tummy hurt. Trying to keep track of the lore and the story made my brain hurt, but I sure did get to smash a bunch of people with my shield. This game may be really fun for some, but I just found it so-so. And even trying to turn the graphics down from 4K to 2K, the performance was pretty bad in certain lighting conditions, even with low details in performance DLSS settings. So, I don't know. I might go back and finish it, but I might not. It depends on how many apples I feel like eating.